Good day everyone, especially to Ma'am Chi. It's my pleasure to introduce myself to all of you. Well, I'm Arabella Liwagilyako. That's too long. Just call me love. Char. It's your girl Ara, and now I will also introduce to all of you my group mates. Mr. Liminho, Char, Mr. Hikaro, Mr. Dogdidon, Miss Mirene, and Miss Tabby. And now, for today's video, we will talk about Brahe and Kepler, the odd couple. Sana odd couple, di ba? Ano pang iniintay nyo? Hindi na siya babalik. So, arat na! And now, who is Tycho Brahe? Tycho Brahe, born as Tige Ottesen Brahe, was born on December 14, 1546 at Iskania and died on October 24, 1601 in Prague. Brahe was a Danish astronomer and known for his accurate and comprehensive astronomical observations. As I said earlier, he was born at Scania, which became a part of Sweden in the next century. Tycho was well known in his lifetime as an astronomer, astrologer, and alchemist. He has also been described as the first competent mind in modern astronomy to feel ardently the passion for exact empirical facts. His observations are generally considered to be the most accurate of his time.
Hi, my name is Jade Nicaro, and I will report something that is a part of Tycho Brahe's life. Did you know that Tycho Brahe was kidnapped by his aunt and uncle? Yes, you heard it right, but here's the thing. Tycho Brahe's parents already know that this will happen. Sa madaling salita, pumayag ang tunay na magulang ni Tycho Brahe na ipaampon siya sa tito at tita ni Brahe at itinuring nila itong tunay na anak. These important natural events turned Tycho from law to astronomy. His interest in astronomy began with the solar eclipse in Copenhagen in August 21, 1560. This eclipse was hardly noticeable in Copenhagen. Less than half of the sun was hidden. Tycho was inspired by this eclipse not because it was stunning, but rather because astronomers were able to forecast the exact time it would occur. Tycho was intrigued and yearned to see how we too could make such accurate forecast. Tycho's system. Tycho attempted to create a model that combined the finest ideas of Ptolemy and Copernicus. He asserted that Copernicus was correct in his theory that the sun is orbited by the 5 planets Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. On the other hand, as Ptolemy had stated, the moon, sun, and stars all orbit the Earth. Tychonic system. The planet Earth is located at the center of the universe, while the sun, moon, and stars all rotate around the Earth. While the sun is circled by the 5 planets, which is the Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn.
So good day everyone. Here I am to discuss the facts about Tycho Brahe. The first fact is, Brahe had a fake nose. Brahe had a brass nose carved from him, but claimed it to be gold and silver. The brass was confirmed when his body was exhumed for study in 2010. It must have been a tad tedious to stick one on a brass nose with a face every time and carry a spare one, especially for a young lad facing this strategy in his early 20s. Tycho Brahe lost his nose in 1566 in a duel with Mandrup Forsberg, a fellow Danish student at the University of Rostock, and his third cousin, a rustic nose made of brass, and afterwards he and Forsberg became good friends. The second fact is, Brahe helped an elk for a pet. Among his unique life choices in his decision to help a pet elk, which he prized and routinely showed off to all visitors. Fortunately, the elk milked an untimely and bizarre and when he sent into a nobleman's house as his representative. It got drunk on beer and fell down the stairs. Brahe was nothing close to Montaigne. He kept an elk. The third fact is Brahe's hoarded research. Brahe's death on October 24, 1601 gave astronomers like Johannes Kepler access to his closely guarded work. Tycho had hoarded this data since he did not want to share credit with anybody else. Should they have benefited from his guard work? Kepler was Tycho's assistant, who with the data access went on to bring astronomy fully into the realm of science. He formulated these three basic laws of planetary motion and supported his heliocentric model of the solar system. It was rumored that Kepler poisoned Brahe from his research. Perfect modern day, Kepler did not admit crossing the name ethics lines, publishing his work using some of Brahe's data. The fourth fact is, a bladder infection was the cause of Brahe's death. Contrary to the rumors at the time, Tycho was not poisoned as chastisement for having an affair with a queen of Denmark. His body was exhumed in 2010 and tests carried revealed he died of bladder infection from holding urine too long. In case you are wondering why he do that, tradition required that when in the king's presence, guests sit at the table until the king arose. This is what befall Tycho who was dining with the king. After drinking too much, Tycho sat with crossed legs so long that is leading to a bladder infection. The last fact, Brahe's wealth totaled 1% of Denmark's wealth. Brahe had a biological father as well as a wealthy adopted father who raised him. When he died, Brahe inherited his wealth. Similarly, he inherited his biological father wealth when he died. This quite quietly tied the amount. Research estimated that combined this wealth to 1% of all Denmark's entire wealth, not shabby at all for one person. So that's all. We are done to discuss the facts about Brahe.
Today, my part is about Tycho Brahe's interest in astronomy. It began with the solar eclipse of August 21, 1560. All his observations were made with the naked eye using the finest astronomical instruments in Europe.
Tycho Brahe built his Uraniborg observatory on an island, which then given by the King of Denmark, where he designs instrument or adapted it by himself. Also, on the island, Brahe measured the positions of the stars and planets with unprecedented accuracy. Also, Tycho Brahe believed that
the Earth revolved around the Moon but all the other planets around the Sun. The Sun revolved around the Earth but all the other planets around the Moon. The Moon revolved around the Earth but all the other planets around the Moon. The Sun revolved around the Earth but all the other planets around the Sun.
Earth was at the center of the universe around which the Sun and Moon revolve. But he held that as the newer system of Copernicus, all other planets revolve around the Sun. Also, an outer sphere containing fixed stars were considered to revolve every day around the Earth.
Kepler becomes the prime suspect of Brahe's death because it was rumored that Kepler poisoned Brahe for his research. Because Kepler admitted crossing some ethical lines publishing his work using some of Brahe's data. Thank you.
Good day everyone, I am Elaine Marane, one of the assigned presenter, and here to discuss who is Johannes Kepler. Johannes Kepler was a German astronomer, mathematician, astrologer, natural philosopher, and writer on music that was born on 1571 at Wilderstadt and died on 1630 at Regensburg, Germany. He was a sickly child and came from a poor family. Despite of his situation, still, he became a key figure in the 17th century scientific revolution. Also, his evident intelligence earned him a scholarship to the University of Tübingen to study for Lutheran ministry. There, he was introduced to the ideas of Copernicus and delighted in them. In 1596, while a mathematics leader in Graz, he wrote the first outspoken defense of the Copernican system, the Mysterium Cosmographicum. Mysterium Cosmographicum is an astronomy book published at Tübingen near 1597 and in a second edition in 1621, but it was originally published by the year 1596. As a university student, he studied the Polish astronomer Nicolaus Copernicus' theories of planetary ordering. Copernicus believed that the sun, not the earth, was the center of the solar system, a theory that contradicted the prevailing view of the era that the sun revolved around the earth. In 1600, Kepler went to Prague to work for Danish astronomer Tycho Brahe, the imperial mathematician to Rudolf II, Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. Kepler's main project was to investigate the orbits of Mars, and using the precise data that Tycho had collected, Kepler discovered that the orbit of the Mars was an eclipse. In the early 1600s, Johannes Kepler proposed the three laws of planetary motion that will be discussed later. He was able to summarize the carefully collected data of his mentor, Tycho Brahe, with three statements that describe the motion of planets in sun-centered solar system. Kepler's effort to explain the underlying reasons for such motions are no longer accepted. Nonetheless, the actual laws themselves are still considered an accurate description of the motion of any planet and any satellite.
Hello, it's me again, Ara, and now we will talk about the three law of planetary motion. The law of ellipse, Kepler's first law, explained that planets are orbiting the sun in a path described as an ellipse. Kepler's first law is rather simple. All planets orbit the sun in a path that resembles as an ellipse, with the sun being located at one of the foci of that ellipse. And now, the law of equal area, Kepler's second law, which described the speed at which any given planet will move while orbiting the sun. And also, the speed at which any planet moves through space is constantly changing. A planet moves fastest when it is closest to the sun and slowest when it is farthest from the sun. And yet, if an imaginary line were drawn from the center of the planet to the center of the sun, the line would sweep out the same area in equal period of time. And if an imaginary line were drawn from the earth to the sun, then area swept out by the line in every 31-day month would be the same. And also, Kepler failed to explain why planets maintain their position in their respective orbit. That issue was addressed by Newton. And now, we will also talk about rotation of the Earth. Rotation of the Earth. Spinning of the Earth around its axis is called rotation. The axis has an angle of 23.5 degrees and perpendicular to the plane of Earth's orbit, which means Earth is tilted on its axis, and because of this tilt, the northern and southern hemisphere lean in a direction away from the sun. The rotation of the Earth divides into a lit-up half and a dark half, which gives rise to a day and the night. And now, revolution of the Earth. Movement of the Earth around the sun is fixed path is called a revolution. The Earth revolves from west to east. The Earth completes one revolution around the sun is 1 year, or precisely in 365.242 days. As I said earlier, a planet moves fastest when it is closest to the sun and slowest when it is farthest from the sun. And when it is closest to the sun, it is called perihelion. And when it is farthest from the sun, it's called aphelion. And now, perigee and apogee. Like the Earth's orbit around the sun, the Moon's orbit that is closest to the Earth called perigee, and the point farthest from the Earth is known apogee. The terms are also sometimes used interchangeable with the Earth's perihelion and aphelion. Now, the law of harmonies, Kepler's third law, compares the orbital period and radius of orbit of a planet to those other planets. Unlike Kepler's first and second law that describe the motion characteristics of a single planet, the third law makes a comparison between motion characteristic of a different planets.
And now, dito na po nagtatapos ang video presentation namin. Para relasyon nyo, tapos na. And sana nakinig at may natutunan kayo. Lesson learned, pwede nyo naman balikan ang nakaraan ng isang tao. Basta yung may ambag sa buhay nyo. Again, I'm Elaine. Salamat sa pakikinig. Sana inyong naintindihan na malabo na siyang bumalik sa inyo. Char. Thank you again, Ma'am Cheat and future engineers. Bye!